Blood soaked the sleeve of Ben Carter's uniform, warm and sticky against his skin as he ran. Every breath felt like fire in his ribs. The plasma burn along his side throbbed in time with his heartbeat, each step sending a fresh spike of agony through his body. The mission had gone to hell in under 4 minutes. Raiders had hit the village hard and fast, precision strikes. Civilian targets, no hesitation. Ben had stayed behind. A wounded alien child had fallen in the open, blue blood pooling beneath her. Ben hadn't thought. He never did. He dragged her clear just as plasma fire shredded the air where he'd been standing. That moment cost him everything. Now he was alone, bleeding out in an alien forest lit by violet moss and strobing plasma bolts. His boots slipped on phosphorescent ground cover, each staggered step leaving a bright crimson trail behind him. A trail the raiders would follow. His medical pack was empty. He'd used the last coagulant on villagers who were probably dead by now. His training ran the numbers without mercy. 20 minutes, maybe less. His vision darkened at the edges. The forest tilted, then the ground vanished beneath him. Ben tumbled, sliding down slick stone as darkness swallowed him whole. His shoulder slammed into rock hard enough to knock the air from his lungs. He hit cold, damp earth and didn't move. Silence. No plasma fire. No screams. Just his ragged breathing and water dripping somewhere above. A cave. Or a tomb. He forced his eyes open. In the center of the cavern, caught in a shaft of moonlight filtering through a cracked ceiling, lay a pool of shimmering water. It glowed faintly, pulsing as if alive. Ben laughed weakly. Hallucinations already, he muttered. But thirst drove him forward. He crawled, dragging his ruined body across stone, smearing blood behind him. He plunged his hand into the icy water and drank. The taste was wrong, metallic, alien. Then the pain vanished. Ben froze. His breathing steadied. The fire in his side cooled to nothing. He pressed trembling fingers to his wound and felt flesh knitting together beneath his hand. "You are healed." The voice came from the shadows. Ben spun, reaching for a weapon that wasn't there. A blue-skinned woman stepped into the moonlight, blade leveled at his chest. White hair braided down her back. Eyes like dark amethyst. Blood, her blood, stained the bandage on her shoulder. A warrior. She nodded at the pale scar on his side. "Now," she said coldly, "you owe." Ben had just been healed by something. Impossible, and now an alien. Warrior was telling him the price was blood. "I don't owe anyone," Ben said, backing away slowly. "I didn't agree to anything." "The mountain does not ask permission," the warrior replied. "It takes life to give life." She gestured toward the glowing pool. The source. Ben's mind raced. Advanced nanotech? Symbiotic organism? None of it explained what he'd felt. How his body had obeyed the water. "I'm a doctor," he said. "I help people. That's all I do." Something flickered across her face at the word doctor. Surprise, gone just as fast. "Then you will help ours," she said. "Or you will die here." She led him through winding tunnels into a settlement, carved directly into the mountain. It looked primitive at first glance, stone dwellings, firelight, but Ben saw irrigation channels, ventilation shafts, structural planning, survivors, not savages. They stopped before a chamber heavy with sickness. A chieftain lay dying, chest rattling, skin clammy and blue. Villagers watched with hollow eyes. "You drank from the source," the warrior said. "Now you serve." "I'm not a slave," Ben snapped. The elders closed in. "Every healed becomes a debtor," one croaked. "Life must be paid for." "That's barbaric," Ben said. "Where I come from, healing doesn't demand sacrifice." "And where you come from?" The warrior stepped close. "You have machines. We have only the source." She shoved him toward the dying man. "Prove your way is better. Save him." Ben swallowed hard. "I need my medical kit." Minutes later, it was in his hands. Ben worked through the night, boiling water, sterilizing tools, improvising medicine from alien herbs. He fought exhaustion, infection, and time itself. At dawn, the chieftain convulsed, then went still. "No," the warrior whispered. "No." She struck Ben hard enough to stagger him. "You failed," she screamed. "The source would have saved him." "At what cost?" Ben shot back. "Whose life would you trade?" "Mine." The word stunned the room into silence. Ben saw it then, the truth beneath their law. Fear. Ben had challenged the source's law, and now an entire civilization was turning against him. Days passed. The plague didn't stop, but fewer died. Ben's medicine worked slowly, painfully, but it worked. Children recovered. Laughter returned in fragments. The warrior, Mira, watched him with wary respect. That night, raiders returned. The fight was brutal and close. Ben moved on instinct, striking joints, disabling rather than killing. Mira fought like fury given flesh. A blade punched into Ben's gut. He collapsed. Mira dragged him back to the cavern, hands slick with his blood. She hesitated only once, then poured the source water down his throat. His wound closed. Gasps echoed as villagers watched. Mira cut her own palm and drank too. 2 debtors. She wrapped the white sterile bandage. Ben had given her around her healed hand and faced the clan. From this day, she said, his fate is mine. The law cracked. Ben met her eyes, awe and horror twisting together. You shouldn't have done that, he said hoarsely. I chose, she replied. Just as you did. Before anyone could answer, the sky burned. A consortium dropship descended toward the mountain. Mira whispered, fear sharp in her voice. They came for the source. Ben felt something cold settle in his chest. If the source fell into human hands, this world would be stripped bare. We don't run, Ben said. Mira smiled grimly. Then we fight smarter. As mercenaries closed in, Ben realized the greatest threat wasn't the raiders. It was what humans would do if they claimed the source. Ben learned quickly that debt wasn't something you carried here. It watched you. Every step he took through the stone-carved settlement, eyes followed. Not hostile, not welcoming, measuring as if the mountain itself was deciding whether he was worth the air he breathed. The pale scar on his abdomen tingled faintly, a reminder that he was alive on borrowed terms. Mira walked beside him in silence, blade resting against her shoulder. Since declaring herself a debtor, something had shifted. Warriors no longer met her gaze directly. Elders whispered when she passed. You broke their world, Ben said quietly. She didn't deny it. I cracked it, she corrected. They will decide whether it shatters or changes. Inside the infirmary, the cost of tradition lay exposed. Children with fevered eyes, elders coughing blood into stone bowls. Wounds half-healed by the source, closed flesh hiding infections beneath. Ben's hands clenched. This isn't healing, he muttered. It's debt management. Mira stiffened. Choose your words carefully. I am, Ben said, kneeling beside a boy shaking with chills. Because if they keep doing this, the mountain won't need enemies to kill them. He worked for hours. Cleaning wounds, teaching, showing warriors how to boil water, how to isolate the sick, how to wait. Waiting terrified them more than death. At dusk, an elder approached, leaning heavily on a carved staff. The source is restless, she said. It knows it has been cheated. Ben looked up sharply. Cheated how? The elder's eyes flicked to Mira's bandaged hand. It gave life without taking one. The mountain rumbled, deep, distant, but unmistakable. Mira's grip tightened on her blade. The source had noticed. And when the mountain noticed imbalance, it always collected. The cavern was wrong. Ben felt it the moment they entered, like stepping into a room where someone had just died. The source pulsed brighter than before, its light erratic, violent. It's destabilizing, Ben whispered. The source does not destabilize, an elder snapped. It judges. Then the screams started. A young warrior collapsed beside the pool, veins glowing faintly beneath blue skin. Another followed. Then another. They drank, Mira realized. Too many. Too close together. Ben ran forward. Stop them. Get them away from the water. The source flared. The water surged upward, defying gravity, wrapping around the nearest body like living light. The warrior convulsed, then split. Not blood. Energy tore free, ripped from him, and slammed back into the pool. His body dropped, empty, still breathing, alive. But hollow. What did it take? Ben whispered, horrified. Mira stared at the unmoving form. Not his life, she said slowly. Something worse. The elder fell to her knees. The mountain is angry. No, Ben said, backing away. It's addicted. Silence hit the cavern like a blade. Ben turned to Mira. It's not a god. It's a system. One that's been overdrawing for generations. Another rumble shook the cavern, stronger this time. Cracks split the ceiling. Outside, alarms sounded. Warriors shouting. Children crying. Mira met Ben's eyes, understanding crashing between them. The debt is coming due, she said. And it's not done collecting, Ben replied. A scout burst into the cavern, bloodied and panicked. Ships, he gasped. Metal ones, falling from the sky. Ben's heart dropped. Consortium. They found it, he said. Mira raised her blade. Then the mountain isn't the only god that's about to bleed. And gods Ben knew never bled alone. The sky burned. Consortium transport screamed through the clouds, engines carving scars of fire above the violet forest. Gunships circled like vultures. Ben watched from the mountainside, jaw tight. They won't negotiate, he said. They never do. Mira didn't look away from the descending ships. Then neither will we. Below them, the settlement scrambled. Warriors positioning, elders arguing, fear spreading faster than orders. Ben turned to her. If they take the source? They won't, Mira cut in. I won't allow it. That may cost you your life. She finally looked at him. You already know, she said softly. I decided that the moment I drank. A shockwave rattled the stone. As the first warning shot slammed into the mountainside. Rocks fell. Screams echoed. Ben grabbed her arm. Mira, if the source reacts to violence, if it destabilizes fully, it will tear the mountain apart, she finished. They stared at each other. Two impossible choices. Let the consortium harvest the source and doom the planet, or destroy the source and doom everything their people had ever believed in. Mira exhaled slowly. There is a third way, she said. Ben frowned. There's always a third way right before someone dies. She reached into her belt and pulled out a sealed vial, a sample. I took it days ago, she admitted. Insurance. Ben's breath caught. Mira, that's enough to change everything. Yes, she said, or to end it. Another explosion hit closer. The mountain screamed. Mira pressed the vial into his hand. If I fall, she said, you decide. He closed his fingers around it, feeling its warmth. And if you fall, he asked. She smiled, small, fierce, real. Then you become the mountain's conscience. The gunships began their descent. The war for the source had begun, and for the first time in history, humanity was about to decide whether a god deserved to survive. The first bombardment missed the settlement on purpose. Ben realized that instantly. The consortium wasn't here to wipe them out. They were here to claim. Energy fire carved deliberate scars into the mountain, peeling back stone layer by layer. Every strike was a question asked with violence. What are you hiding? The source answered. The cavern trembled violently, a shockwave rolling through the tunnels like a dying heartbeat. Warriors staggered. Children screamed. The source is reacting! Ben shouted. Mira didn't hesitate. She grabbed a horn carved from bone and blew a single sharp note. The warriors moved instantly. Not into battle, into evacuation. They're not defending the settlement, Ben realized. They're defending the mountain. They've always defended the mountain, Mira said. Today they defend it from gods. A consortium strike team breached the outer caverns within minutes. Their weapons hummed with controlled lethality, precision, professional, unfeeling. Ben ducked behind stone as a plasma bolt scorched the wall inches from his head. Medic! One of Mira's warriors yelled. A young fighter lay screaming, leg shattered by debris. Ben slid beside him, hands steady despite the chaos. He injected pain suppressants, splinted the limb, dragged him clear. This was his battlefield now. Not soldiers versus soldiers, but belief versus extinction. The source flared again. A wave of light erupted outward, slamming into the consortium team. Two mercenaries were lifted off their feet, thrown like dolls into the cavern wall. They didn't die. They screamed. Their armor fused to their skin. Veins glowed beneath it. The source wasn't choosing anymore. It was feeding. Mira stared at the carnage, horror flickering across her hardened features. It's lost restraint, she whispered. Ben grabbed her arm. It's becoming a weapon. And weapons always demand blood, she said grimly. Above them, the mountain cracked. A fracture ran straight toward the source chamber. Mira looked at Ben. This ends now, because once a god becomes a weapon, someone has to pull the trigger. The source chamber was chaos. Light pulsed violently, shards of stone floating in its gravity-defying glow. The pool boiled not with heat but with pressure. Consortium mercenaries poured in from two tunnels, weapons raised. Mira stepped forward alone. This place is forbidden, she shouted. Leave or die. The lead mercenary laughed through his helmet. Corporate doesn't care about your gods. He fired. Mira moved like a blade released from a sheath. She cut one down before the others reacted. A second fell screaming. blood steaming where it hit the glowing stone. Ben charged in behind her, dragging an injured mercenary to cover. "You don't have to die here," he yelled. The man looked at him like he was insane. Then the source surged. A tendril of light lashed out, piercing the mercenary's chest. Ben watched life tear free from a human body. The source absorbed it hungrily. "No," Ben whispered. This wasn't balance. This was addiction. Mira turned to him, bloodied, breathing hard. "You must destroy it." Ben froze. "If I do that, your people, your culture will live," she cut in, "even if they hate me for it." Another blast hit the cavern ceiling. Stone collapsed, crushing 2 mercenaries instantly. The consortium began to retreat, but not before planting charges. If they can't have it, Ben realized, they'll bury it. Mira grabbed his wrist and shoved the vial into his palm. "Now," she said. "Choose." Ben stared at the glowing pool. A miracle. A monster. A shortcut humanity had never earned. He opened the vial. The last pure sample of the source shimmered inside. Ben stepped forward. "I'm sorry," he whispered, not to the source, but to every future it might have saved. He poured the vial into the pool. The reaction was immediate. The light screamed. The cavern convulsed. Cracks exploded across the walls as the glow collapsed inward, imploding on itself like a dying star. Mira threw Ben clear. The world went white. And when the light faded, only one of them was still breathing. Ben woke choking on dust. The cavern was gone. Collapsed stone sealed the source forever, its glow reduced to dying embers beneath tons of rock. He pushed himself upright, pain flaring, and saw Mira. She lay half-buried, blood soaking into shattered stone. Her chest rose shallowly. Ben crawled to her, hands already working. "No," he breathed. No, stay with me." She smiled faintly. "The mountain is quiet," she whispered. "Yes," Ben said desperately. "You did it. We did it." Her eyes flicked to the sealed cavern. "Good, then they can never use it again." Her breathing faltered. Ben's hands shook. "I can save you," he said. "I've saved worse." She touched his wrist. "Not this time." He saw it then. Internal injuries. Massive trauma. No miracle left. No shortcut. Only truth. "You promise balance," she murmured. Tears blurred his vision. "This isn't balance," he choked. She smiled weakly. "No, this is choice." Her hand tightened briefly, then fell still. Above them, the consortium ships lifted away. No source. No profit. No reason to stay. Ben stayed kneeling long after the mountain stopped shaking. When the villagers arrived, they found him holding Mira's body, not as a debtor, not as a savior, but as a healer who had learned the hardest lesson of all. Some lives aren't saved. They are honored. And the real story wasn't how the god died. It was what humanity chose to become without it. They expected Ben Carter to leave. That was the part everyone got wrong. The consortium withdrew within hours. No announcement. No apology. Just scorched rock and silence. Their scanners found nothing worth profit anymore. A dead god was useless. The mountain belonged to the dead again. The village gathered at dawn. Smoke curled from broken dwellings. Blood-stained stone that would never fully forget. Mira's body lay wrapped in ceremonial cloth, the white bandage still tied around her hand like a final argument against the past. An elder stepped forward. "The debt is ended," she said. "The source is gone. You are free to leave, off-worlder." Ben didn't answer immediately. He looked at the injured leaning on makeshift crutches, at children coughing in the dust, at warriors standing guard with cracked blades and empty eyes. "I'm not leaving," he said. A murmur rippled through the crowd. "The source made healing fast," Ben continued. "It also made it lazy. You traded lives instead of learning how to save them. That ends now." Some scoffed. Others listened. "You will bleed," an elder warned. "People will die without the source." "Yes," Ben said calmly, "but fewer. And no one will be chosen to die so another can live." That struck harder than any speech. He opened his pack and laid out his remaining supplies, bandages, antibiotics, surgical tools dulled by overuse. "This is how humans survive," he said. Not miracles. Not gods, training, discipline, refusing to give up. A warrior stepped forward, the one Ben had splinted during the raid. "I live because of him," she said simply. "I will learn." Others joined her, slowly, hesitantly. Ben felt the weight settle onto his shoulders. Not debt. Responsibility. As night fell, he stood alone at the edge of the mountain. The sky burned violet and gold. Mira should have been there. Instead, her absence pressed heavier than stone. Ben clenched his fists. "I'll finish what you started," he whispered. But the mountain wasn't finished with him yet. The sickness returned 3 weeks later. Not the old plague. Something worse. Without the source-suppressing symptoms, infection spread fast. A child died on the second night. Then an elder. Panic followed. "They said this would happen," voices whispered. "The healer's way is too slow." Ben didn't sleep. He worked until his hands trembled. Boiled water. Sterilized tools. Invented antibiotics from fungal compounds native to the caves. Failed twice. Nearly lost a third patient. He screamed into the stone when no one could hear him. This was the price of rejecting gods. The elders confronted him at dawn. "You promised fewer deaths," one spat. "Instead, we bury our children." Ben didn't flinch. "I promised no sacrifices," he said. "Not perfection." That shut them up. Because even now no one was being dragged to the mountain to die. Then it worked. The compound stabilized fever. Infection slowed. Survivors rose shakily to their feet. Hope crept back, quiet, cautious, earned. That's when the signal came. A human signal. Ben froze as his scanner chirped. Alliance rescue beacon. His people. They were close. A ship descended that night, sleek and clean and powerful. Armed escorts, medics, supplies enough to save hundreds. The captain looked at the ruined settlement and frowned. "We can evacuate you," she said. "These people too, if command agrees." Ben looked at the villagers watching from the shadows. Fearful, hopeful. Humanity had arrived, and with it a choice. If he left now, he lived. If he stayed, he became something else entirely. Ben powered down his beacon. "They're not ready," he said. "And neither am I." The captain stared at him like he was insane. "You're choosing to stay on a dead world." "No," Ben said quietly. "I'm choosing to build one." And the moment he chose them, the universe noticed. Years later, no one called it the Source Mountain anymore. They called it the Scar. A reminder. Ben stood in the infirmary. Now a real building, not carved desperation. Solar panels, powered lights. Children studied anatomy charts drawn in charcoal and hope. He was older, scarred, slower, still standing. The village had changed. No sacrifices, no debts, no gods that demanded blood. Healing was taught, not worshipped. And word spread. Other clans came. Other worlds listened. Human medicine adapted. Alien biology rewritten into textbooks. Balance not enforced but chosen. One night Ben climbed the mountain alone. At the place where Mira died. He placed a white bandage on the stone. "Still keeping your promise," he said softly. The stars burned overhead. Somewhere out there, corporations plotted. Wars brewed. Humanity kept being human. But here they learned restraint. That was the real HFY. Not conquest. Not domination. But the refusal to become monsters just because the universe offered power. Ben turned back toward the lights of the settlement. Toward people who would outlive him. Toward a future built without. Because the most dangerous thing in the galaxy is a human who learns how to heal without permission.